What up, what up, what up, what up? It's your boy P. Skip. Welcome to the best half hour of your entire Tuesday. You know what time it is. It's time to get into his course. My squad with me, T-Mac.
Hola.
Chili Will.
Gracias, amigo.
Let's do this. Today, the show is going to be all about Coach Bud. For those of you who don't know, our very favorite coach of the Milwaukee Bucks, Coach Budenholzer, has been relieved of his duties of the Milwaukee Bucks head coach. I, for one, thought it was going to be done 2 years ago, or 3 years ago. I thought it was going to be done. But then after he won the championship, they had no choice but to extend his contract. But then what we saw was Bud went back to doing Bud type things. Just his, I won't say his, he didn't make adjustments when it seemed like adjustments should have been made. And now let me say this. Bud as a person probably is a great person. I don't know him personally. But Bud as a head coach for the Milwaukee Bucks just doesn't seem to be a good fit. Now he may fit better somewhere else, and he probably is going to be picked up somewhere else. And someone said to me, well, you know, he's an NBA champion. He's going to get picked up real quick. Nick Nurse didn't get picked up real quick. He's an NBA champion. What was the Lakers head coach before Darvin?
He came from the Pacers. I forgot his name.
Right. Well, he didn't get picked up, right? He's still looking for a job if he wants to coach.
And both of those names are probably candidates for the Bucks job.
Which I hope they aren't, but nevertheless. You know, again, Nick
McMillan also.
Yeah, Nate McMillan.
Exactly. Probably a candidate.
And they're also looking at the Bucks assistant coach. I guess he's the next in line assistant coach. They're also looking at him. But
he's a finalist. He's a finalist for that Detroit job opening.
Right, and that's probably why the Bucks put him as one of the possibilities for Milwaukee. But one of the people's names I think that should be in the hat that's never in these hats is Mark Jackson. I still to this day don't understand the architect of the Golden State team, why he's not even getting a look. Why nobody is saying, hey, do you want to come out of that booth and get back on these sidelines? I don't understand.
It's obvious he's been blackballed.
Oh my
goodness. The Kaepernick theory that's going on with Mark Jackson. It's obvious he's been blackballed. There's no way in the world when that New York job opened up, that was the perfect job for him, and he didn't get that job. He's gone on a couple of interviews, and I think over the last few years, he's not even gone on any interviews. He's saying, I understand that I'm not going to get the opportunity, and I'll just keep commentating and make a couple of million a year, working 7-8 months a year and leave it at that. But it's obvious Mark Jackson is blackballed from coaching in the NBA. For what reason? I don't know, but it's obvious because there's too many people who are getting opportunities that aren't half the coach that Mark Jackson is.
I agree. You know, when I first, excuse me, what was your first reaction when you heard that Bud had got...
You recording?
Yes.
All right. Go right ahead.
What was
Timothy!
What's good, man?
What's happening, folks? Hey, listening audience, I came in a little bit late because I had a board meeting, but I'm here now, and we're going to continue to rock and roll.
What was your first reaction when you heard that Bud got released?
I was sick.
Okay.
I was sick. And the main reason why I was sick is that I've been a season ticket holder for over 15 years. And the first 10 of those 15 years was losing. We had Larry Drew, we had Jason Kidd, and we just lost all the time. And then Budenholzer came and we started winning. We started making the playoffs. We started winning the conference. We started having the best record in the league. We actually won an NBA championship. In the games where, you're a season ticket holder also. The games are a whole lot more fun.
Yeah.
When you're winning. Now, the reason why I was sick, I don't want to go back to those first 10 years. I don't want to go back to losing all the time. I don't want to go back to being at the arena and you halfway across the arena and I can say, hey, Skip, and you can say, what? I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back to that. So for me as an investor, as a stockholder in the Bucks, I just, it's therapeutic for me. It's one of the few things that I do for myself, because y'all know we spend a lot of time taking care of people, our family, other people in the community, making sure folks can try to reach their potential and being advisors and providing guidance and counsel to so many people in the community. But the Bucks game and being on, fishing and being on my boat is probably the two things that I do for myself. And I just was sick with the thought that we're going to go back to the old ways before Bud came. So that was my initial reaction.
You, T-Mac.
I don't know that if I had as much remorse as Will had.
Well, I can tell you, you did not. You did not have as much remorse as me. I don't know if you know. I know you didn't. Yeah. You can be nice and kind if you want to, Timothy. Matter of fact,
shots fired.
Rumor is on the street.
I'm trying to.
Hey, rumor on the street is that you called John Horton and said, "Hey, man." That's word on the street.
So much for diplomacy. Yeah, I will say though, I'll put this in two parts. Number one, everything you said about Bud as far as the winning culture, I think he helped to usher that in. I think a lot of that also started with the ownership. They came in out the gate, team coming off a 15-win season, and they, without any hyperbole, said, you know what? Our goal is to bring a championship culture to Milwaukee, to this franchise. The NBA was threatening to move the team out of Milwaukee if a new stadium wasn't built. And the owners, to their credit, came in with that kind of winning attitude. Bud, I'll give him his credit as a coach. He was at the helm during these turnaround years. He's been a multiple division champion winner, brought a chip to the city of Milwaukee, first time in 50 years. That is phenomenal. Matter of fact, I will also say that most times, under most circumstances, that would be enough to have bought someone a bit more time and benefit of the doubt, whether or not should they be fired or let go or continue on and given another chance. The challenge, though, I think the other side of that same coin is that the ownership team, again, coming in as billionaires, hey, man, we're used to winning. Outside of basketball, in life, in our business pursuits, in what we do, we expect to win. We didn't become billionaires by happenstance or by osmosis. That's what we do. So I'm thinking they're still at the helm, whether Bud is there or not. So that type of mentality, that type of expectation, that type of resource support is still going to be in the mix for the Bucks, whoever is coaching, because the ownership, that's what kind of ilk they are of. The other thing that was a challenge for me, and Bud was really fighting it off as much as he could. He did a yeoman's job of it. He was Herculean in his effort, but it never quite erased it for me based on some of the decisions that were made in his in-game decision-making or lack thereof, was the fact that before he came to Milwaukee, I think got a chip or two with San Antonio as part of that coaching staff, and he was head coach of the Atlanta Hawks. They won 60 games once or twice and didn't advance out of like the second round. So that let me know that, okay, while he has excellent regular season success, sometimes he comes a little short once you get to the playoffs when the quote unquote second season starts. And as far as the Bucks are concerned, but for some fortuitous hardcore big mama praying late in the midnight hour circumstances for the Bucks. That championship that they won, it's a fact. He was a coach when they won championship. He is a championship coach. Had they not got these fortuitous breaks, Kyrie Irving being out, injury against the Nets, James Harden injury, KD toe on the line, shooting the three. They had a bunch of breaks, and we had a Giannis who shot 17 for 19 from a closeout game, had 50 points. So there were a lot of things that went their way as well. So I say all that to say that they won the championship in spite of Bud, as opposed to because of him. Last thing I'll say is because of the in-game situation, and I think that this last series against Miami really was the nail that was in the coffin for him. And to your point, Will, in some previous broadcasts, you had made mention that you didn't think he was going to get let go because of all the things you just kind of delineated, here earlier. And I would tend to agree with you. I just think that the pain of this series against Miami, Jimmy Butler, going wild, the adjustments not being made, just some lapses. I think it was maybe game 5 where, you got 0.5 seconds left. How many times have we watched it be less than a second left in the game and the team trying to score? You hardly ever score. Why? Because the defense is designed to not let you score with that little bit of time left. They scored. The game went to overtime. You didn't have your bigs. You got 7-foot folks on your team. They aren't guarding the basket. We all know who's getting the ball, and that didn't happen. Went to overtime. We lost that game. And you let Jimmy go wild like that when the second best player on the Miami team was out with a broken hand. So again, we had what I thought was the makings of a deja vu of these fortuitous circumstances. We about to get championship number 2, the second time in 3 years. It was not to be. And I think the insult to injury when the ownership, I wasn't there, but when they were having one-on-one meetings with themselves saying, what are we going to do? I think what really ticked them off was the fact that not just that we lost to the AC that was undermanned, understaffed, second best player not there, but we can only manage one freaking game, and we shot a record for 3-pointers in that game. So, but for a record-setting performance, you're telling me we would have got swept by the number 8 seed, despite our guy going down with the injury. We got all that depth we got for the simple fact that if we had a major injury to one of our major players, like Chris Middleton going down after that Chicago series, we lost to Boston last year, the depth that we had was supposed to be a guard against something like that happen. And you didn't even use the depth. We lost the last 3 games in a row to this number 8 seed that's down a man. I think that right there, that confluence of circumstances just took them over the edge and said, we want to get this joker some more love, but we ain't. Bye. And I think that's kind of was the demise that really happened. Had the Bucks mustered up maybe more than one game, we went, 6 or 7 games, gave a better fight. Then it could have been, come on, guys, he won a championship for us. Let's give him another chance. Because that didn't happen, it was like, man, get out of here. And I think that really was what hastened his departure. The end.
Great soliloquy. To me, when I heard Bud got fired, I distinctively remember I was at the church. I was walking.
I distinctly remember you calling me on the phone.
No.
I distinctly remember me, you, and Matthew on the phone, and you said you stopped at every corner in the city and got out of your car. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And did the running man.
No.
That's what he told me, Tim. He said he stopped at every corner and did the running man.
On every block.
I got a witness. Okay, go ahead, Pastor. What'd you say? Your initial reaction was what?
Initial reaction was when I heard that Bud got fired. I distinctly remember I was in the church. I was walking towards the sound booth. It came up on my phone. I was stunned. I started to smile. Then I cabbage patched a little bit.
He's out of there.
things that as a leader, you have to be able to make adjustments when adjustments are needed. And what I didn't see in Bud was the ability to make the adjustments that was needed. Yes, he's been known as an excellent regular season coach, but he's also been known as a terrible postseason coach. That's why Atlanta got rid of him after he had won 60 games, 50 and 60 games. And that's why we got rid of him, because the adjustments were not made. And for me, what it shows was just how much Darvin Ham was an influence on this team when he was with Milwaukee. Because it had to be Darvin saying, hey, y'all man up, let's win this. Because Bud hasn't been known to be a guy that says, you know what, my game plan ain't working. Let's make some different adjustments. Let's go this route, and then let's see what that does. Because even Jay Crowder was all over the news going, I don't know why they brought me here if they weren't going to play me. I don't even know what my purpose is being here. Now, again, Jay Crowder is done. We only got him for a year or for that season. So he's probably gone unless the new coach comes to him and says, we need you, and this is how we're going to use you. The other thing for me is, and let me say this, that's adjustments that should have been made offensively and defensively, not just on one side of the court. Because there's some defensive things. And what I think the biggest thing for me, I think, is the Bucks lost to Miami the same way they lost to them in the bubble. The exact same way. And that is one thing. But let me say this. I think here's the thing that nobody's really talking about. Giannis, his contract is up in 2 years, right, Will? If I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
In 2 years. Lopez is up this year. Drew said he's retiring after his contract is up, which is what? Another
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
I think Giannis said
Middleton is a free agent with a player option.
This year too, coming up, right?
No, right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
I believe Giannis said, y'all not going to treat me like Brett Favre. Y'all not going to treat me like Aaron Rodgers. You get me what I need to win. And one of the things I need to win is a different coach. Because let's just all keep this a buck and a half. Bud would still be coaching if Giannis said he can't go nowhere. Bud would still be at the helm. Bud would still be leading him. But Giannis approved that. He said, if y'all want me to stay here, this is some things you're going to have to do for me to stay. And I believe that's part of the reason why Bud is gone. I think, because here's the thing. We only know what we see on the court. We don't know what we don't see off the court. We don't know what goes on in the practices. We don't know if these players respect. We don't know any of that. We don't know if Bud lost the locker room. We don't know any of that. But the players do. And so that's the stuff that I'm looking at this going, there has to be a reason, because Giannis seems like one of the most loyal people you could think of. Seems like that's just what's in him. The fact that Bud is gone, there's something bigger than what we think is going on here. And I'm thinking they're going to either have to go one or two. I don't think Nick Nurse is the answer. I don't think bringing anybody else, because didn't Nick Nurse come under that Popovich tree?
I'm not sure.
I believe so.
I think he can. And I think Greg Popovich is a legendary coach. But he was legendary in the 2000s. The early 2000s, like 2000 to 2000, maybe 15, 2010. But his style of coaching didn't translate to these new players that he's got. And I think his style of coaching is not translating to these players that are in the NBA now. I think there needs to be a fresh guy with fresh mind, fresh understanding, fresh ideas that can bring life into these players. Because one, we're going to have to get younger. That's the other thing. The Bucks is like either the oldest or the second oldest team in the league. So that's going to have to make a big, huge change. They were going to have to do that anyway, regardless to who the coach was. They're going to have to get younger. I think there should be traded, and they were talking about it earlier in the season. Grayson Allen, I think needs to go. I think we need to get rid of Wesley Matthews. I think we need to figure out what we're going to do with Pat Connaughton and what we're going to do with Carter. Bobby's locked in for the next 3 years. We need to know what we're going to do with Chris Middleton. Is he, again, the Robin that is needed to be Giannis's for Giannis to be his Batman? Is he the one that can help carry? You know, I don't know. He's been very streaky. And to say, okay, well, he got healthier during the postseason. He was dropping 20, 30 sometimes game. Yes, but can you do that consistently all year long to allow Giannis to not have to carry the team? You know, to say that Giannis still dropped 30 and had a horrible back, and the reason why you know his back was really bad, was worse than what it was, because anybody who shoots free throws know that it's a bending motion that you have to have. You got to bend your knees and bend your back, kind of get in a sitting position and come up and shoot. That's what you have. All that has to be engaged. When your back is hurting, you don't do all that. You don't do it. If you watched him shoot his free throws, he wasn't bending, and everything was short because he couldn't get the momentum to hit those free throws. But even in that, he still gave us 30, a double-double. You know, but he can't carry his team like that every game and all year round and still be healthy enough for the playoffs. So there's going to have to be some more pieces being put around him to accomplish what we're looking to do and not only that, for the next 5 to 10 years, if that's how long Giannis is going to stay. There's going to have to be a rotation of fresh bodies to keep him at a place where there's longevity for his body and we keep a winning culture. Because when next year, everybody and their mama going to be knocking on his door because everybody wants him. Right now, LA would trade 80 for Giannis so quick it wouldn't be funny. Everybody wants Giannis. So there's going to have to be some major moves being done to keep him in place. And I think this was one of them. And I think he went to the ownership and had a talk. I don't think it was just ownership talking amongst themselves. I think the new owner said, hey, I don't know Bud like that, but I know what I saw from Bud, and I think it's time for us to make a move. But I think Giannis came and probably sealed the deal by saying, we cannot win a championship with Bud. Thank God we had Darvin Ham who filled in those gaps. But Bud can't seem to get us over this hump. Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
I was gonna say just jump in real quick to that very point of Giannis's weighing in. I don't know if he was heavily lobbying for or against Bud being retained or fired, but one of the quotes that he did have, along with that viral piece that he had, I'm sure you all saw on video, talking about, you know, you don't lose in sports, and, you know, really talking about how you still learn and you grow, give your best, and et cetera, et cetera. Another quote that was attributed to him was when they were asking about the defense that was played on Drew Holiday, and I'm paraphrasing. He said something along on Jimmy Butler. He said something along the lines of Drew Holiday did the best that he could, but no, the adjustments weren't made. Almost inferring that, hey, the game plan that we were going with, our guy did his best. The job of somebody else was to change strategy when they saw that strategy A wasn't working. Let's go to strategy B. So without calling Bud by name, I think there was an inference to the lack of adjustments that might have impacted the outcome of that series. And we might be still talking about watching the Bucks in the playoffs this year, as opposed to what they're going to do in the offseason, since their season, to me, was prematurely cut short.
Well, another thing to what you said, Tim, is that Giannis also said in one of his quotes that he wanted to spend more time, or he felt like he could have spent more time defending Jimmy Butler, but out of respect for the coach, he went along with what the coach's decision was. He said that also. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah. Exhibit B.
That right there. That right there is shots fired.
Yeah. When Toronto beat Milwaukee, they instituted the wall. They saw, hey, if we're gonna lose, it won't be by Giannis. It's gonna be by these other cats either shooting us out the game or shooting themselves out the game. Our players didn't hit. Toronto won a championship. Nick Nurse made adjustments. That is, again, if you're on your job and you're seeing that what I'm doing ain't getting me the success that I need, you realize there's some adjustments I got to. You make those adjustments for success. You don't go in and say, you know what? I know there's some changes I need to make, but I'm gonna just keep doing what I'm doing because I got the job from what I'm doing.
I'll take it a step further, Pastor Skip. And if you don't make the adjustment, your supervisor and your direct report will first suggest that you switch some stuff up. Second, they're going to demand that you switch some stuff up, because at the end of the day, productivity is what they are most looking for. Go ahead.
And so, all of us understand adjustments. We all three married. How we dated our wife and how we married to our wife. And how we got married to our wife and how we married to them now. Because along this relationship, adjustments had to be made in order to stay successful in our marriage. And that to me was a thing that and the average guy saw, here's some obvious decisions that need to be made here. I don't care where you're from. If a player gives you 50, you better not let them give you 46 the next game. That's the easiest adjustment. Somebody else gonna have to give us 50 then. My first thought was, okay, there's only Jimmy. Then we throw everybody we can at Jimmy, wear Jimmy out, and let somebody else beat us. Let somebody else beat. Let's see if Bam can beat us. Let's see if Jay Vincent can beat us. But we will not let Jimmy beat us. And that adjustment was never made. And so, again, there's something else I said to Will, on our conversation. I asked Will, I said, Will, Brad, ask him if he needs some help moving. I'll be willing to volunteer to help him out. But Will, I'll try to box it. Attitude or nothing. I'll give him a smile and I'll thank him the whole time he was here. As I'm putting the stuff in the truck. So, with that being said, hey, listen, another great show. Meet us back here every Tuesday night from 7 to 7:30. And the number one faith-based sports talk show in the entire world. Until next week.